Good morning, grazers, fellow grazers. Wanted to do a video this morning just to show my setup before I run off to a doctor appointment and then work. I sometimes people wonder what it looks like to set up, a move for a day and how it is. I'm gonna try to get this video done in 15 minutes or less here. So what I'm going to show you here is I have a lane that the cows are coming back to. And so let me turn this. So this is a fence I had before. This is, I hope to set up an alleyway eventually, similar to what is described in the Total Grazing course, but this is what I had previously. So what I'm doing is I'm making this hot zone fence hot, right, or this electric fence I've got around my food plot area hot. I've got my tire water right here, and you can see goldfish are in there. And then I have set up a lane here going to this section. So this is where cows have been at for the last 4 days worth of moves, or 3 days worth of moves. And so I'm tying into the fence right here, and I could do this differently. If this fence wasn't here, it wouldn't be that much different. So I'm making a lane over here because I don't want them to graze back in the section. Even though we are in, I think, D2 drought now, I don't want, there's gonna be forage that's gonna start to pop up in there. And so this section is where they're grazing at, and this is my first year really doing total grazing, so I'm sure there will be plenty of critique about plant spacing and seeing dirt and all that good stuff. But this is where we're going to right now, and I've got this set up. It's wide enough for 3 days worth of daily moves. And so what I also have is just commercial, mostly Angus cows and black Angus cows on top of that. So, but my fence post, when I laid this fence out initially, is 20 feet apart. And so that helps me a lot of times whenever I am making calculations for dry matter and determining how big of an area the fence is going to be. And so in this other section that they just left, based off of the width of this field here along the creek bottom, it was using 60 feet wide was my lane going towards the creek over there. So 3 fence posts wide right here. So I just count out, 1 being right here. So that would be where I'd start, and then I'd go, 2, 3. So what I did with this one is I laid it out 9, and then I'm splitting this section 3 ways. So I counted it out. I went from the end of the fence down there up here was 153 steps, and I'm dividing that by 3. So it's 51 steps down to where the first cross section is. And so that's where I'm running this fence at. And so the cows have access to water. Sorry if I'm making anybody dizzy. Back over there. It's supposed to be 95 degrees tomorrow here in southern Missouri. And so they are going to have some shade underneath these couple of trees right here. And then as the day goes by, you get past about 2 p.m., 3 p.m., and these trees right here cast shade over on this side of the fence too, after grazing over here. So this is my 3rd time grazing this field this year, and there is I'm only grazing on 1/3 of the farm. I would have wanted to jump paddocks. I just don't have enough cows that I could have jumped anymore. You can see how mature this forage is, and this is my 3rd pass, and I'm only grazing 1/3 of the farm right now. I don't even want to try to get into all the species of grasses because I would miss a lot. There's there's stuff that grows down here that I'm not super familiar with. Obviously, there's crabgrass, there's fescue, there's orchard grass, there's timothy, there's chicory, there's nettle that's in here. And you can see, if I scroll over to this other side and you kind of look, you know, this is where they were at. And again, there's more plant spacing than what I would like. But I know from that it's going to get better as the years go by, especially by the time I get to the third rotation. When you look at, you know, plant utilization, I don't know, you know, what my harvest efficiency would be. I'm going to guess it's, you know, 60 to 70%. And when I look at the manure, there is some manure that is stacking up for sure in some areas, but then, you know, there's other areas where it's plenty loose, as you can see. So it's a mix, and I know that varying times a day will produce different, you know, manure consistency. If they, you know, have been resting all night long and then, you know, they haven't drank much throughout the night or whatever, you know, that's going to change some of the manure, how it looks, and all that. So, but you know, this is what I'm doing, and I will, as I already mentioned here, this fence is, this is my first division. I'll step off another 51 paces for tomorrow and do the other section. So, and then I'll show you, I need to do a video about I changed up the grounding system for this fence last year, and I need to do a little bit of a video on that. And I'll show you here, despite being in very, very dry conditions, this is what's, you know, 10,000 or 10 kilovolts, you know, is what is currently running through this fence. So, like I said, it's really dry. I have not watered down where all my ground rods are at, but the cows definitely respect it when it's got 10 kilovolts running through there. So I also probably maybe spacing them out just a little bit and giving them, there are certain areas of this field that they ate down to the ground, and there's a couple other areas where the forage is just too mature. It's summer, they're skipping over a little bit of the fescue, you know, and eating other stuff, and that's okay because it's going to get consumed definitely more heavily on my last pass of the year, which will be probably around December down here on this field is what I would guess. And maybe they'll consume a lot more of it then because it's going to get a full year's rest next year. So as I and I should have mentioned this earlier, but I'm going to start calving here in about 5 days. So trying to make sure that they've got everything that they need. I have been for the last couple weeks, so certainly not trying to push them hard, and trying to ensure that they've got decent enough body condition going into calving season that they're going to be that they'll breed back easily. So I do hope to eventually switch over to spring calving, but genetics got to get right completely for that to happen. So anyway, this is where I'm at. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully this helps somebody else, I guess, get a little bit of an idea of what it looks like. You know, at least me, I certainly don't feel like I am extremely successful at this yet, but this is my process that works for me right now, for having an off-farm job that's 40 miles away, taking kids to school, picking kids up from school every other week, and or week on, week off, and then on the weeks that my kids aren't with me, I work quite a bit of overtime or comp time to be able to make up the hours of picking them up and dropping them off. So this if you can set up your fences ahead of time, you know, on the weekend sometimes I'll lay out a week's worth of fence before the week starts, and that way when I get home in the evening, or if it's first thing in the morning, I can run out and move the fence real quick before I go to work or right after I get off work, depending on time of year and daylight hours and all those things. So hopefully if you got something and you've been to total grazing class and you've got an opinion on something I can do differently, I'd love to hear it. Not that if you haven't been, I don't want to hear it, but that's the principles I'm trying to follow, and it'll take probably several years for me to fully implement the plan and the process, but this is where I'm at in my journey so far. So hope you guys have a great day.